What's up, everybody? Welcome to Cinema Trip Reviews. I am your host, Wyatt, and today I am joined by very special guest, Brett Parker from Dissect That Film. How you doing today, Brett?
I am doing fantastic. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you back here. We are once again entering the Matrix for the last time because we are finishing off the Matrix trilogy with the Matrix Revolutions. If you're watching this and haven't checked out our previous reviews for the Matrix and Matrix Reloaded, definitely go check those out. But make sure you finish this episode though first, unless you don't know the movies. Then you might need a crash course. Go through those reviews. But man, I'm sure glad they didn't make another one after this one.
I know, right?
Man, I mean, we're gonna get into it, but I mean, this like once again, if for anybody that hasn't saw those other two reviews, this is your first time viewing the whole trilogy, correct?
This is, yes.
Now,
Uh,
what have been your thoughts so far as like the first two parts leading up to this one that you can
so
remember?
oh boy, yeah, trying to go back and remember what I said before. Like I said, I'm trying to remember. So like with the Matrix, that was the only one I had seen. I saw it as a kid,
Mhm,
or not really as a kid. I was a kid. And it was just very confusing. It was
mhm.
just, I think it was mostly for the visuals that I was really intrigued about it. I remember playing the video games a lot as a kid. I think it was like Enter the Matrix on like PS2 or
Yeah,
something
and
like
then they
that.
had like the Path of Neo, which was like the actual
Yes,
movies in
right.
one game.
So that was like my history with the Matrix. I did not see Reloaded or Revolutions, and so I was very ill prepared going into Reloaded, and coming out of that, I was like, where are we going? Where is this gonna go? And then we get to this one, and boy, does it just we go
Yeah.
somewhere, man. I don't even think it knew where it was going.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it in those other reviews. The first one is like an all-time classic, I feel like. That's one
Oh
you can
yeah,
always kinda go
absolutely.
back and review and, just watch any given time, and it still holds up, and it's very, like, kind of bookend, like, you could end at that. Like, it doesn't
Right.
really have any continuation. I mean, you can, but it's kind of a self-contained story in a way. You didn't really need these other 2. The second one, it definitely is muddled down with a lot of, plots and stories that don't really aren't needed in the movie itself and gets very muddled and messy. And then you come to Matrix Revolutions. And it just like you said, it completely goes off the rails. It goes downhill from here. I mean, this is definitely my least favorite of the Matrix trilogy. This is the one that is certainly the slog out of them all. I mean, even rewatching
Oh yeah.
night, I was like, oh my god, like how much more time do I have left on this movie?
I
I
hate that. That should never be the case when you're watching a movie, but I completely agree. There's just moments where you're like, they're still talking. They're still
Mhm.
talking about something I lost interest in 5 minutes ago.
Or it's
And
just
it's
stuff they've repeated multiple times throughout the
yeah,
trilogy already, and they're just kinda saying it in a different way, and it's like, "I already know this information."
right. It's weird because I feel like, you know, these are definitely not movies that I plan on revisiting anytime soon.
Yeah.
Maybe the first one because I feel like it can be its own thing, like it's its own standalone movie.
Mhm.
The Reloaded and Revolutions are just a big clump of clay, and they forgot to finish the sculpture. And it's just so melded together. Where if someone talked to me about this a year from now, I probably would have no idea what they're talking about because
I
it's
mean,
just so forgettable.
yeah, I mean, I've seen these movies multiple times, and to be honest, every time I come to, like, Matrix Revolutions, I still don't remember what's gonna happen. Like, it goes in right into my brain and then right out, like, the next day,
Yeah.
like, after I watch it. I even had to kind of recap a little bit before we got on here just so I can remember certain different plot points. Because I mean, compared to the, like, Matrix Reloaded, it's definitely not as like chaotic in a way. Like there's not a
Mhm.
ton of shit going on compared to Reloaded, whereas like one place to another. You kind of have just like three separate plot threads in this one. They just go on for way too long.
Yeah.
And nothing really happens as far as the main characters that like you've been following this whole time. Morpheus, Neo, and Trinity. Morpheus doesn't have a damn thing to do in this movie
No,
at
he doesn't
all.
do anything. He
Dude
literally does
barely
nothing
does
but stand there
anything.
concerned because he doesn't know what's gonna happen. Yeah, Neo and Trinity, they're off doing whatever they're doing, but they're
They're
not
missing
doing
for, like,
anything.
half the movie, though. I mean, Neo's in, like, a coma for the first hour of the movie, half hour of the movie, he's gone. He's not e like, the title character is not even
Yeah,
here.
it's all to be honest, it's all side characters who we've met before, but for very brief moments. So, like, I feel Jada Pickett Smith's character is
Mhm.
one of the big ones in this because
Yeah.
she's included in one of probably the coolest scenes of the or segments of the entire movie, like the whole ship going through, trying to get back to Zion,
Yeah, like
and then
those
you
tight
have
corridors.
yeah, then you have that young kid who just really wants to help.
Neo's biggest fan from The Matrix
Yeah,
Reloaded,
yeah, completely. To be honest, when I was watching this, I completely forgot that's who that was.
because like,
And
it
then,
doesn't matter.
yeah, exactly. And then there was that one, like the tough guy who like confronts him because he drops a bunch of ammo, and he's
Yeah,
like, "How old are you?" He's like
the colonel
18.
or
He's like,
whatever, I
"Yeah,
forget his
yeah."
name.
Like he was pretty big because he was part of that huge battle scene, and they focus on him a lot because he's kind of like the last man standing. But
Yeah.
other than that, you have that annoying general or whatever the heck rank he is, the one who's like just hates
Doc.
Morpheus and hates
Yeah.
everyone else. Yeah, literally the main characters, the people that you care about the most, are just like doing nothing for the majority of this film until the end.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. That's my one of my biggest gripes is a majority of the movie you're dealing with characters that you don't even know or you were
Yeah,
briefly, very briefly introduced to in the last movie. And it's like, well, I don't care about any of these people. I don't even know who these are. Like why should I care what happens to Zion or any of these people? Like I barely
right,
know them. Like, we should be focusing on the main characters you've been showing us since the first movie,
right.
and it's like I feel like it's just straight a product of being rushed. Being both these movies, like Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions, were filmed back to back, so they were being written at the same time. They released 6 months apart from each other. That's why we did this review 6 months from the last one. Uh, so I mean, I just feel like it was just extremely rushed. They got all the money
Yeah,
and they're like, "Yep, you got the go ahead. You got go ahead, make a huge big budget Matrix trilogy if you need to after that first one." And then it just seems like they forgot what made the original Matrix great. As far as
right.
like being gritty, somewhat self-contained, nothing really over-explained because that's another huge problem of of this the second Reloaded and Revolutions is they just try to over-explain everything.
Oh,
And it's like
it's
it's still
exhausting.
confusing at the end of the day, but it's like I don't care about any of this. Like they barely talked about Zion even in the first one, and like it's
Yeah,
all this stuff is shoehorned in just these two movies that really could have been condensed into just one if they
yeah.
really wanted to. Like the whole plot with like the one ship member's wife and everything that's back on Zion and
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
completely could have cut out. The same thing with the kid that you mentioned. Like he could have been completely cut out. Like all of this could have been cut out. You could have still had like maybe the fall of Zion in a way, but you should have focused more on the core trio of the trilogy,
Absolutely.
Neo, Morpheus, and Trinity. And then unfortunately, yeah, they had a ton to do in the second one, but I mean the repercussions is in this one, they don't have anything to do. So it was like, what was the real payoff here? Like they should have kind of found a way to space it out or just spend
Yeah.
more time in the Matrix. You're barely in the Matrix
Eh,
in this movie at all. And his movie's called Matrix Revolution.
yeah, because I think it's just what, Trinity and Morpheus go in there to find, what the heck was his name?
The
The
Frenchman,
French guy, the Frenchman, yeah.
Malgavogian or whatever his name is. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's Neo fighting the 1.5 million Smiths,
Yeah.
at the end. It's yeah, the Matrix doesn't even it barely shows itself in this because 'cause you're so focused on the Battle of Zion and fighting off the machines and just
Yeah,
stuff that we
which takes
didn't
up an
need.
hour of the movie, and it's like, I
Yeah,
don't care about the
and it's
whole
all
hour of
prep.
this movie.
It's all prep work. Most of it's prep work, and then you see the battle that lasts maybe 5-10 minutes. When
Yeah,
this movie is over 2 hours long, and it feels way longer.
it does every single time, and just like you said, I mean, the beginning of the movie, I mean, we might as well just kind of sort of get into it a little bit. I mean, first, of course, Keanu Reeves, Carrie Ann Moss, Lawrence Fishburne is Neo, Morpheus, and Trinity here. Jada Pinkett as Niobe, Hugo Weaving, who has a way bigger role in this one than in Reloaded as Agent
Mhm.
Smith. You know, he's just chewing up the scenery. Ian Bliss, who plays Bane, who's pretty much just kind of impersonating Agent Smith in a way, and he does a
D
damn good job. That's pretty much
Yeah,
the main
he's
reason they cast him as this character.
he definitely was the highlight of this. Like, I'm listening to him, I'm like, "That's actually him." Just mimicking Hugo
It's
Weaving's
wild.
voice, and it's really good because 'cause I'm always looking for that, like you can always tell if it's some
Mhm.
sorta, like, lip sync or, ADR, but no, he was doing it and it was really good. I was like, I like this guy. I mean, he's not a good guy, but I like this guy because he's the most interesting person I've seen on screen so
Yeah, he
far.
got, like, all of his mannerisms and everything down, just the way that he
Yeah.
speaks, he got it perfect. I mean, shout out to
Oh,
him, and, of
yeah.
course, Harry Lennox as Locke in this. But, like you said, the beginning of the movie, it feels I mean, of course, it is an extension of The Matrix Reloaded, it picks right up where it left off, but it was like the other 2 movies, you had a sort of a scene to, like, that build up the movie. You had an opening
Right.
scene that had, it was like Trinity getting away, pretty much in both of them, from, like, an agent or something. This
Right.
it just kind of get thrown right into the movie, and it just feels just like it should have been in the last one, as far as them trying to find Neo. Like, Neo's trapped in this like purgatory, like limbo at this train station. He can't get out because at the end of Reloaded, just a brief recap, the spaceships blew up because an EMP went off, so their ship got destroyed. And to protect everybody, Neo used his powers in the real world. He can use them in the real world, I guess, to
Yeah,
stop the
he's got the
machines.
force.
Yeah, he's got the force. Nobody knows how he did it, but
Yep.
because he used his force powers, he went into a coma. And him and that Bane dude who's possessed by Agent Smith are in both in comas pretty much on that ship. And because he uses power outside of the Matrix, he's trapped like in a limbo in between. So he can
Mhm.
kind of I don't know. It's very weird. It doesn't last very long either. Like you think
No.
he's going to be trapped there the whole movie, but no, it takes like 10 minutes because while this is happening, that's when like Morpheus and Trinity, of course, they go to like the Frenchman. He even tries to make him a deal. He wants him to go get like the Oracle's eyes. And I always thought it
Yeah.
was like I didn't know he actually meant the Oracle's legit eyes, but I thought it was just like some form of artifact in the Matrix called the
Uh,
Oracle's eyes. But no, he actually wants the Oracle's eyes.
to be
And
honest,
it's
I wish they went along with it. I wish they went along with it. But yeah, we'll get them. I wish it
yeah,
went in that weird direction where they agreed to the deal, but but things go wrong. But because it's literally like, I'm sick of this shit. And then she turns on him. Trinity
yeah.
turns on him, puts a gun, and everybody's got their guns on it, and then it
Got a
just
whole
cuts.
standoff happening.
Yeah, and then it just cuts to her being on the train, and I was like, "Well, that was anticlimactic. Like, what the hell was that?"
Very, because I mean, this dude has a bounty out on him and everything. That's why he's
Yeah,
like holding Neo in there, and he's trying to get them killed. So it's like, why would he just let them go that easily and
right.
everything? And I mean, you do have the first big kind of action piece of the movie is whenever they're running up into that club, and you have
Yeah,
people running across the tops of the ceilings and flipping off of walls, and it's
yeah.
just one big huge shootout. It kind of is similar to like the ending of the first one where
Mhm.
Trinity and Neo go in and start blasting all those dudes at the bottom of that building. It's just not on a bigger scale. It's very small and condensed, and it's just not as good. I mean, some of it's
No.
okay. You get the Trinity like floating kick that she does and everything,
Yep.
but like I don't think it was anything compared to what we saw in Reloaded or even in the first one. It was very kind of mediocre to
No,
start out the
a
film.
lot of these fight scenes were definitely close quarters, and then when you do get a big fight scene, it is that early 2000s CGI just
That's mostly the whole movie too, and I was
yikes.
like, "Oh, gosh, good god, this is bad." I didn't remember it being that bad, especially towards the end of the movie
It
and
turns into a
everything.
video game on some points where you're like,
It
"Is this
legit
just
does.
a where's my controller? Like, am I supposed to be controlling Neo now? Like, what's
Is this the
happening?"
path of Neo? Am I playing
Yeah,
this
wha
now? Yeah, and I
Oh,
mean,
man.
it's like you wanna talk about some of these characters, but they don't really matter in the long
No.
run, like, Neo meeting, like, Satsi, the little girl in the train station, and then, like,
No.
she introduces him to her parents and their
Did not need
programs.
to be in the movie. Did not need to
Didn't
be in
need
the
to be in
movie.
the movie
Doesn't
because they
play
don't
into
ever
it at all.
nope, they don't come up ever again. All they pretty much say is that, like, the train station the train man and the train station is run by the Frenchman that you meet or whatever, and it's
Yeah.
used to kind of smuggle in programs in and out of the Matrix without people
Uh-huh.
knowing or the machines knowing, and that's what they're trying to do is smuggle this little girl in because the Matrix doesn't allow programs that don't have a use or don't have a like they're not programmed to actually do something. And I guess that's what she is. They don't really explain what she is. I mean, they had some sort of nickname for her at some point, but that was just a plot point they just never go back into. It was like, oh, we forgot
No.
to finish tie this loose end up a little bit.
Yeah, that whole train station conversation between where it starts with Neo talking to the little girl and then he talks to her parents, so long and
Yeah.
so just pointless. Just him explaining the fact that he loves his daughter and he can't be with his daughter because he made a deal with the Frenchman. It's like, yeah, it doesn't lead to anything. So why is this
No.
in here?
And it's
Just to
like,
pad out the
it was the whole
runtime? Like,
thing is like, well, your machines, how can you your programs, how can you feel love? And it was like, well, what
yeah,
do you it's like, how do you define love? Or whatever. It's like, I feel
yeah,
like this is something we go through in every movie so far, like as far as
yeah.
like this
Love is
kind of
just a
talking
word.
points. And it's the same thing when like the agent confronts the Oracle eventually. He's
Yeah,
like throws the cookies. He's like, if you know what I would have done that, then why would you have made them in the first place? Or why would you purposely be here if
right.
you knew I was coming or whatever? He's like, I feel like we've been through this before. I mean, maybe that's the point, but it's like we're just rehashing shit we've done a movie or two ago where we don't really need.
I do like the fact that the Oracle um talks about how she sees a different face, like she's trying to get used to her new face.
Yeah,
Because the
whereas
fact
like
that the original actress who played the Oracle died, so they recast her. Uh,
yeah,
I do like
whereas
how they
she
kind of
said like every
incorporated
time
that.
something happens, you lose a part of
Yep.
yourself. I think she was saying, and that was kind of their way of they're giving her a reason to have a new appearance and everything.
Right.
And she's like, I'm still trying to get used to it and like seeing myself in the mirror or whatever. But I mean, she's just still as cryptic as ever. Whenever I mean, like you said, soon as Morpheus and Trinity go to the Frenchman, they pretty much just show right up in that train car to rescue Neo. It was like, okay, there was no time.
Nope.
Like, why were we even worried about Neo being trapped in this like limbo for
Right.
like in the first place if you're just going to rescue him 5 minutes later? Like, there's no stakes
Yeah, because
involved here.
it shows him like he's like, well, you got yourself in here, so you can get yourself out. And he closes his eyes, and then it shows that vision of him going up like a cable.
Yeah,
And I'm like, is
yeah.
he gonna try? Is he gonna be able to like transfer his code or whatever he is like through something else to get himself out? No, no, no.
No.
Trinity and Morpheus show up. And you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, and you thought like the Train Man was gonna be like a super cool character or whatever, because I mean
Nope,
he fucked Neo up because Neo tried to get on the
he
train. He's
did.
like, nope, I'm God down here, bitch, and he like just
Yeah,
slams him in the chest into the wall. What happened to this character? He could have been cool.
yeah.
He could have been some kind of cool enemy for Neo to fight at some point, and then that doesn't happen.
He kind of looked like the freaking monster from Barbarian. I was like, who is this guy?
I mean, it's the dude from I forget his name. It's the guy from Hills Have Eyes, the remake.
Yeah, he's always playing
Yeah, creepy
interestingly
dudes.
creepy characters.
Exactly. As soon as they rescue him, he goes to the Oracle. She pretty much tells him that what he kind of already knew is that the Agent Smith is going to be taking over everything now. Like he's
Right.
slowly taking over to everything within the Matrix. And once he does that, it's just going to go into the real world. And then he's going to pretty much be controlling the machines. He's just like a super virus in a way. And then of course they pull him right out. He wakes up out of his coma and he's like, I gotta think on some stuff for a minute. You gotta let me like this
Yeah.
dude's already been in limbo and then he's in a coma or whatever. And then he's like, nope, I need to be by myself for a little bit. So he's even out of the movie for a while longer at that point while everybody figures
Yep.
stuff out. And during that time, they find the crash ship. They go down, they find Niobe, and they end up getting her ship restarted and everything. That's whenever like they come up with the plan that that they're going to go back to Zion to help them fight the war. Because I mean, as you're going, it keeps going so fast. Because like at the beginning of the movie, they're saying they have like I believe it was like 22 hours until the
Yep.
Sentinels hit Zion, and then it's like a half hour into the movie later, it's like we have 22 minutes until
Yeah.
until
You're
the
like,
Sentinels hit. So
wait,
it's like, oh
what?
my god, what happened? Where'd all this time go?
Yeah, there was one point it was like 2 hours. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's like
Why?
that. This is happening super fast.
Yeah, this is where you see all like the side characters that just don't add to anything other than like, oh, he does a heroic thing. He helps open the door. And that guy
Yeah,
and that's Link's wife, and she loves her husband. So
yeah.
she
Remember
is
these characters we introduced for 5 minutes in the last
yeah.
one? Well,
Yeah.
you're going to be following them for a decent bit this
Yeah.
movie, and it's like, oh
And
great.
then you follow Locke around, and you're just every time he says anything, you're like, eh, God, let's move
Yeah,
on from this guy.
yeah, because that's the scene where he says like we have like what was it 2 hours or whatever
Yeah.
until they come through, and that's where they're trying to develop their plan because the Sentinels are going to be crashing through the dock, and they're saying that they can kind of get them down into like like a pass pretty much so they can kind of narrow them down to thin them out as they're
Yep.
coming in and everything so they can kind of hold that fight within the dock and everything. And then he wants like their whole like half their infantry plus the like their mechs that they're using and everybody, and they're like, I don't know if we can spare that many people. He's like, trust me, if we could have women and children and everybody like taking up arms, I would. Like,
It's like,
okay,
well, thank God
maybe
you're
you
not the one
shouldn't be.
making the decisions. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank God you're not making the decisions here. That's a whole huge part of the movie, like we mentioned, is just him arguing that they need
With
more defense and
yeah.
everything. And then it's just them prepping for
Yeah.
everything. And like you said, the kid has like the little run in with the colonel or whatever. And then they kind of end up becoming buddy buddy by the end of the thing. And then it's just a war that goes on for far too long. And it's like, I don't care about these people in this war. So it doesn't, there's not much stakes for me in this case. Like maybe if you had Morpheus in there that was fighting, or Trinity that was part of that war, maybe I can give a shit a little bit more,
Right.
but I don't care about this kid or this colonel that I just met this movie, or even Locke. Locke's not even fighting in the war. He's just doing the diplomatic shit behind the scenes and
Yeah.
everything. It's
This
like,
should
where was
all have
he?
been our main characters. Yeah, this is like if you're gonna have Neo and Trinity go off to, you know, wherever the machines are, have Morpheus and Niobe and
Yeah.
the crew of this ship be the ones to come back and then do all this crazy suit up and fight and all that stuff. But like, yeah, the fact that you're
Or just
introducing more new
somehow,
characters in a third film that you're trying to get me to like,
yeah.
I
Or just
just
do it all in
yeah.
the Matrix somehow. Like, have the war be
Yes,
within the Matrix. Why does it have to be an
it's
actual
called The
war outside with
Matrix.
right? Like, you should find a way to fight the programs within the actual Matrix to save it and
Right.
everything, right? Like, why wouldn't you find a way to do that? It's far more interesting, that's for sure,
Oh,
than this just
absolutely.
drab, just dark, like, everything looks the same, machinery and everything that is
Yeah.
Zion and their dog. Like, I don't know. It's just it's not appealing to the eye
And their ripped
watching
up
everything.
sweaters and I think it
Yeah.
was because they were like, "Well, we have to have them fight the machines, and we can't have the machines inside the Matrix because they're not in the Matrix."
Yeah, I
So it's like,
guess.
I get it, but
I get it, but
you probably shouldn't have just had that plot point because, I mean, all you're doing is making it, "Hey, you've seen the Terminator." I mean, we've probably mentioned this in the past reviews, like, it's just Terminator. It's like, this is the battle
yeah.
between humans and Skynet, like, that's what
This
this
is like
is.
the far, far, far away sequel of Terminator is the
Yeah.
Matrix movie. In the very far future.
It's
S
like I don't care about this war. I don't. I want to see some
I
cool.
don't.
I want to see all the cool things in the Matrix. I want to see Neo. You know, I want to see everybody fighting against Agent Smith because Agent Smith is the big bad. But the fact is,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to like skip too far ahead. But it's like it just gets aggravating when it's like it takes this long for this plan to come into fruition, and then we see a fight at the end that just doesn't do much for me.
That probably wasn't needed in the first place given what actually happens at the end.
Yeah,
But, like, I imagine it, though. How cool would it have been if, like, you just have Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus as a or even Niobe or some of the other people that can go into the Matrix, just fighting hordes of agents to take
yeah.
everything down. It would have been badass.
I
Like,
mean,
you
they
didn't
show
need
how many
just
were
Neo.
destroyed at the end. So it's
Yeah,
like
like,
clearly you could have it where everybody's just it's just an all out brawl with all these Agent Smiths and
it would have
you
been
have the
far more
one agent.
entertaining.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
even the fight in the beginning at the BDSM club was far more entertaining than the gunfight with the Sentinels on the docks. It was at
Uh,
least more entertaining to look at.
I, it's so weird because I'm like this is rated R. Like these movies are rated R, and I'm like, why? Blood, I
I think
guess.
that
I
all the
don't.
time, maybe because of the blood, but, like, I feel like they use it very,
I feel like I've
like,
seen
it's not
worse in PG
much.
13. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's weird.
Yeah, they
And they
don't
don't even
really go that
swear. There's no
far.
swears either. Like they don't curse in these movies. At least I
No,
don't,
like, the only thing
or
I can
not
think
very
of is when the
often.
Oracle just calls him a bastard, but that's not enough for an R rating.
I've heard that in PG movies.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Like, why do these have R ratings? Because 'Cause they're shooting guns? I've seen that in
yeah,
PG-13 movies too.
I
Like,
don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I mean, of course, you find out some more information you already know. Kind of. They just kind of put it in more layman's terms about the Oracle. The architect is the one that's balancing the equation of the Matrix
Right.
and between the machines and everything. The Oracle is the one that's trying to unbalance it. Which we've known pretty much this whole time because the Oracle is the one that's been helping everybody throughout all
Yep.
these movies and everything. Neo's going collect his thoughts. Bane, they question him instantly because they're like, well, somebody, activated the EMPs and killed everybody. And it has to be this dude. He's the only one alive. And of course, he doesn't remember anything.
Yep.
You get a cool little cameo by, I forget her name. It's the lady from the Babadook. She's like the nurse on the ship. and everything. Like I barely recognize her because she was so young in this
Oh,
movie.
yeah. Oh, to be honest, I didn't even notice that's who that
Uh,
was.
Essie Davis, yeah.
Okay.
She's like the doctor in the movie. She doesn't
Yep.
last very long
Nope.
'cause, like, soon
Nope.
she's gonna give him like that like sedative or whatever to kind of eat, like maybe relax him a little bit so he can maybe possibly remember some things. He just takes that scalpel and just straight up murders her and ends up getting
Yep.
off the ship without anybody noticing somehow. And of course, that's gonna come into play here because
Yep.
Neo comes out. He's like, "I know what I must do now. I have to take the ship." And he's like, "Whoa, whoa, you're not taking our ships, dude. Like, we haven't even seen you fly a ship, let alone you're just gonna take one of our ships." He's like, "Well, I gotta go to the Machine City." He's like, "Well, nobody's even come close, like within 100 miles of Machine City, or like, how do you expect to get there?" He's like, "Don't worry, I'm the one. I'll figure out a way." And the other dude at least has some common sense. He's like, "No, I won't allow it. Like, you
Yeah.
can't do it. You're not taking my ship." And that's where Niobe's like, "Oh, you can take
You can
my
have mine.
ship. That's fine." He's like, "Well, I thought you didn't believe in prophecies or whatever." He's like, "No, but I believe in him. I'm like, he seems like he
Yeah.
really knows what he's talking about. He seems like he knows what he's going to do. So I'll lend him my ship." And that's where they also come up with the plan of the fastest way to get down to or over to Zion, however it is where they're located. And there's like this super skinny like section that they have to go through that nobody can fly through, I guess, except Niobe. She's the most skilled pilot out of them all.
I really like this. I really like it. I like the whole her doing the maneuvers, everything, and you got the guy who's been questioning everything. He's just like, "Oh wow, I didn't know she could fly like this. Wow,
Yeah,
you're really
every
good."
time he cuts back to her, he's like, "Damn, this chick can fly." That's a pretty cool scene though, because like they're slowly creeping through, and then you
Yep.
just have like they barely scrape the bottom, and it just alerts the thousands of sentinels and that are
Oh
on them.
yeah.
So they just have to kick it in the overdrive. You have the people on the guns and everything that are firing at them, and then like they have to time it perfectly, so they like spin the ship and drop straight down and everything. Pull some
Yeah.
evasive maneuvers. It is a pretty cool scene though. Like compared to everything else that's in the movie, it is actually pretty exciting.
Yeah, when it comes to like the visual effects, like this was a sequence I didn't cringe at. I was like, "Oh, wow, this actually looks pretty good." And then but to be honest, when it comes to visual effects in these early 2000s movies,
Yeah.
even today, you'll still see it. It's humans. It's when they CG people,
Yeah.
it just looks like Play-Doh or it looks
Yeah.
like a video game.
Normally, you can kinda get away with that stuff when it's used kinda sparingly, but, like, with this movie, even more so than Reloaded, it's all over the place. Like, this movie
Yeah.
is a majority of just CG, I feel.
They do close-up shots of like the of when Neo's fighting, they do a close-up shot of his hand. It just looks so unnatural. And it's
And even, like, the
like,
close-up
oh
of, like, oh,
no.
when you'll get to it, but when he punches Agent Smith, and it's, like, the super slow-mo up,
Oh
like,
yeah, or
face is like, his cheeks waving and stuff, like,
yeah.
yeah, it looks I mean, they look okay compared to everything else, but, like, it's not great.
Yeah, no. No, it's not.
Trinity and Neo take off in that other ship, and they can't even get it started. All the other ship already took off, so she has to go down and check like the fuses or whatever. And of course, Bane's down in there, holds her hostage. She then
Yep.
ends up able to get out and warn Neo. So when Neo comes back with the gun, he already is holding her hostage. So he just like I don't understand how Neo just doesn't get that this is Agent Smith because it takes him so long to figure this out.
Wow.
Like the dude keeps
So
dropping
long.
hints.
He
So
literally keeps calling him Mr.
Mr.
Anderson, which is
Anderson,
literally the only person in this entire trilogy who has called him that is Agent Smith. And he is literally like, huh? Huh? And then like
what?
10 minutes
What
later,
do
he's
you
like,
mean?
impossible. How can it be? And it's like, bro, I figured it
Like,
out as soon as he said Mr. Anderson.
right?
He's out of his mind.
It might appear that way to you, but Mr. Anderson and I know that appearances can be deceiving.
Like I was
What are you?
expecting like the Bane dude to be just like, serious, dude, you're not getting this yet? Like,
This is
I'm
the
Mr. I'm
one.
Agent Smith. Are you serious? Yeah,
This is the
are you
one, guys. Like, yeah, we might want to reconsider.
this is the guy you're in love with? Like, this guy's
What
a
is wrong with
doofus.
this guy? I was thinking that the whole time of that whole
I
sequence. Like,
couldn't
what the?
believe it. I was like, bro, I don't know how he can make it any clearer without just straight telling you to your face.
But
Like,
yeah,
how
because
do you
he's
not pick up
literally
these hints?
talking. Yeah, he's talking like Hugo Weaving. He's saying
Yeah.
Mr. Anderson, and they keep cutting back to Keanu Reeves' face. It's like,
Huh? What?
oh,
The same confused face he has on damn near every scene. Just, huh? What? Yeah, and then, like, he ends up, like, just dropping Trinity in the hole and locking her in, and they're fighting over the gun. She turns off the power, so it's like, have there's a lot of strobe lights and stuff going on in this movie compared to the other ones too,
Yeah.
I feel like.
Well, they use that gun and it, like, cuts a bunch of cables in the middle of the ship.
Yeah, and they're wrestling for that gun, and Bane takes, like, that electric cable to Neo's eyes, and it just melts his eyes, just
Yeah.
entirely.
He turns
He
into Cyclops from X-Men.
Yeah, or Daredevil, or even,
Yeah,
like,
oh, yeah, right. Yeah,
once he
yeah, that
puts
that
the
one.
bandana on, he looks like Kenshi from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. I yep.
But you find out he still has his powers that he used before he went to the coma. He can see the Matrix. He can see Agent Smith because he is part of the Matrix. And it's just like that weird, like, flamey type CGI that's
Yep.
on him and everything. And he's like trying to lure him back into the shadows and everything, but he doesn't know that Neo can see him still. And then it's like, you're fighting better without your eyes than you were before. Dude was struggling fighting this guy
Oh,
before,
yeah,
but now he's just
absolutely.
ducking and dodging. Is like, you why couldn't you do that before when you could see, dude? Like, come on now. But like
His
he
vision is so much
smashes his
clearer
head in
now.
with that pipe, and like the Matrix vision makes it look like he just explodes his head. Like and it was like
I was
I
like,
was a
"I
little
wanna see what Bane
disappointed.
looks like, okay?"
Yeah, when he's still laying there with his head intact, I was like, come on now. Like, why didn't you show what actually happened? Like, where's your R rating? Like, you could have used that. Like, that could have
Right?
been part of your R rating. Maybe it was just Neo's eyes getting melted. Maybe that was part of the
We
R
got
rating.
nothing. We got nothing in this. Rated R, we've got barely any cursing. We got barely any blood. We got no nudity. Like, what is going on here?
0. At least we got some nudity in the last one a little bit.
Yeah. We got some Keanu booty. Like,
Speaking of, we straight up like went past it because she's barely in the damn movie at all. But we got to see another sighting of Monica Bellucci
yep,
in
doing
the
nothing.
movie. Does
Just sitting there.
absolutely nothing. She's just sitting there with the Frenchman.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like, she raises her eyebrow and she's perplexed
Yeah.
whenever they actually draw their guns and try to kill everybody in the midst of
I
everything.
mean,
But she's just a
she definitely
cameo.
yeah, she definitely wasn't there for people to look at her face.
No, not in that BDSM club scene.
No
No, they
way.
definitely they brought her back for a reason in that one.
She made a slight move. Then we were getting our worth of our rating.
That's why they gave it to him. Is just like, you never know, if she moves the wrong way, she
She
could
gets
easily
up,
go
she
into
just
R-rated
turns. Yeah,
territory.
it's
Neo rescues Trinity and everything, so they're on their way to Machine City at this point because they end up killing Bane. So
yep,
Agent Smith's just in the program now. And we can kind of go back into the Matrix for a little bit because that's where Seraph and Sati go and talk to the Oracle. And we brought it up a little bit earlier, but she's like, all right, you got to go now. Something's happening. And they end up getting trapped anyway. Like, they're not
yeah.
trying to escape the building, and they just trap themselves in an empty room. And that's when the agents come in and everything, and you don't really find out what happens to them. It
Nope.
just cuts away, and you never see them again until the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
And
It's
you're just like, oh,
like
what happened to
yeah,
them?
did Agent Smith kill him? Did he My guess is that he turned him into more of him.
More the same, because that's exactly what he does with the Oracle.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's like what we mentioned before. It's just like another thing that we've been through before, especially like when Neo went and saw the Oracle for the first time. Was like, how'd you know I was going to do that? Or like, he breaks the vase. He's like, how'd you know? And it's like the same thing with Agent Smith. He's like, you're still here. He's like, why would you be here if you didn't want to be here? If you knew I
Right.
was coming? And he throws the fucking plate of cookies across the wall. He's like, why would you have taken the time to make these cookies if you knew I was just going to ruin them or whatever? He's like, none of all this is unnecessary. I feel like we've been through this. We know what the Oracle is. We know what she does. Like, you don't need to explain all of this again. All of this is just for him to absorb her and take all of her powers, and then have the maniacal laugh that he has, which is like the cheesiest maniacal laugh ever, man. It was like, oh my god, like, it's going full cheese. Where it's like
Like,
most
what direction are we going in here?
exactly, because my main issue with the Matrix Revolutions, more so than any of the other ones, is it just takes itself far too seriously, and then you have this kind of cheesy shit layered on top. Whereas, like, you gotta pick a direction with what kind of
Yeah.
tone you want to set, because it's going all over the place here. And I mean, that's the story in general. It's just all over the damn place. I mean, at that point, that's where you hang with Zion for probably the next like 20 minutes to a half hour of the movie here.
It's a long one. It's a long one of just shooting at sentinels and people yelling and shooting in their
Yeah.
avatar machines.
Yeah, it's like these
Um,
weird mech things. I guess
yeah,
they
which
model 'em after gorillas. They're saying, like, the way the big
yeah,
arms
and
are and
he's
everything.
like literally flopping. I'm like, how is this man still alive? Like how like all these other
There's
guys are
no
getting taken out so
protection,
fast. There's moments where there is groups of sentinels just flying by them and
just
not actually
circling
attacking.
around them and
Like
stuff.
easily could have just like gone through him, which they eventually do. But there's just times where it's just like, I'm just gonna fly around in a group, and he's just like, I got him.
That was another thing I never understood is, like, they're using obviously using their guns, but, like, everybody that's using them is screaming the whole time, just, "Ah!" Like, why do you have to scream while you're doing it?
It helps with the accuracy,
I
okay?
guess, I guess. But, like, there's no protection for these people. There's not like a
Nope.
cage over
Nope.
top. They're just
It's
sitting
like
there in this, like
it's the thing that they put down on you when you go on a roller coaster.
it's exactly. It's just like this little harness. That's it.
And
No
then when they run out of
protection.
ammo, they're like, "Ammo," and it's just dudes running around with wheelbarrows of
I
ammo,
had
like,
that
"Oh,
marked out
ah!"
as that is the worst job in this war is being the ammo boys, where you have to just run out with this cart amongst
And they just
all
have a
this
dude with a
battle.
zap. They have a dude with a zap gun, like, "Oh,
Yeah,
don't
just
worry,
like,
guys, I got your
what is he
back."
gonna do? What is he gonna do? Like these mechs could barely
Nothing, because
take
they all
down
get
these
taken
things.
out.
They just get ripped off like the bridge that they're on and everything. But yeah, there's no protection for them. They barely even move. Like these mechs have legs, but they all like just stand still
Yeah,
for a
they
majority of the
don't
time.
move. I don't ever see that. It would've been cool if you see them, like, able to, like, run and, like, grab stuff,
Run.
be like some sort of, like, Transformers, like, things, but no, they literally stand in one spot, and that's their spot for the
That's
entire
it.
battle.
Yeah, and I mean, you have, like, those drillers that come down, and you
Yeah,
have, like, the teams that have to take out the drillers, which is one of the teams is that's where Link's wife is a part of, where her
yeah,
and the other woman are running around with the big, like, missile launcher, and they have to take out, like, those drills that are coming down through and everything. Her partner ends up getting killed, so she ends up
yep,
having to do that, and, of course, she ends up helping the kid eventually. You know,
yep.
you have the 2 characters you're following have to interconnect at some point to help each other.
Yeah, because
Uh
because yeah, because you get the whole thing with, the kid, the that, macho man guy dies, and the kid, he's like, "You gotta shoot the door, you gotta shoot the chain for the door," and he's like, "Okay," so he gets in there, and he's, like,
It's
lying on
so
his back, he's like,
cheesy.
"Ah!"
Yeah, because that's because they saw that, like, they didn't think anybody was coming, and then they saw, like, the radar, they're like, "There's a ship coming," and it's like, "It can't be ours." Like, we weren't expecting anybody, but it's, like, the hammer, and, of
Mhm.
course, that's the one with, like, Niobe and Morpheus and everything, and they have to open the gate to come through, and what I didn't like is, like, Locke's like, "Yeah, they can come in and use the EMP and destroy everything, but it might take out our systems and everything, but, you know, it's an option for us." But whenever they do that, he gets upset. He's like, "You just took out all of our fucking security. What were you
Yeah,
thinking?" It was like, "Bro, you
yeah.
were the one that brought up the idea before they even got here. Like, what are you
And then
talking
they
about?
meet and then they meet with the council, and he's just like, "It's all his fault."
It's all his
Point at
fault."
Morpheus, "It's all his fault, he did
Dude,
it."
you brought up the idea in the first place.
I just love
But,
that
like,
one guy, the old guy in the council who's always smiling. He's always so he's like, "This is gonna work. This is gonna work." He's like, "What are you on right now, man?"
but yeah, that was part of their plan was to open up that the huge door so that the ship can come through and blast the EMP. But yeah, that kid runs out and the box gets jammed, like the ammo box
Yep.
into the thing. So he has to climb up on and kick it in.
Yep.
But while he's doing that, that's when like it's the Sentinels
Oh,
swirl around and just cut this dude all up. Maybe that's where the R rating was from because
really cool scene, to be honest. I
yeah,
really
that was the
like the
most
whole
graphic
thing.
of the whole movie because that dude is cut all up. He has this huge cut across his face and
Yeah.
everything. But he has that cheesy ass line where he's just like, you gotta take control of the mech and blow open the door chain or whatever." And he's like, "Well, I never completed my training." He's like, "I never did either." And it's just like a bonding moment between them or whatever.
He's
And
like,
he's
"Let me
like,
tell you a secret. There
I
is no training.
we none of us know what we're
We don't
doing.
have time for that."
When the dude made a huge deal about his age, like earlier in the movie, he's like, "How old are you? 18?" He's like, "You would have said 16. I would have believed you." Or he's like, "Well, I am 16." He's like, "Well, 16's not old enough to join our force.
He's
Sorry,
like, "I don't
bud."
think the machine." I do like the point that the kid makes. He's like, "I don't think the machines care how old I
Yeah.
am."
And he's like, "Wait a minute. Yeah, you're right, kid." And that's where, like, I guess that's where the connection lies. But they barely
Right.
have any other interactions other than that one.
Yep.
But yeah, the kid's got has to blow open the door. But I mean, he's getting attacked by sentinels. But who's going to take him out? none other than Link's wife. That's why she's here. That's why she was introduced to the story, so she could just help this kid out so they could open that door for Morpheus and Niobe. But yeah, they come in and they blow up that EMP. And I mean, it stops them for now. I mean, it blows up, it pretty much stops everybody. And then they hear like the humming, and it's just more and more just coming down through the big ass door they opened already. So it's like, you just made room for more of them to come in. It didn't help anything. At least they were coming down through one little hole in the
Yep.
ceiling before, but now you helped them out even more. And I did like, I guess they used some practicals from what I saw. Like a majority of it was CGI, but as far as like some of the Sentinel models, they were actually like models they used in certain spots, like some of the up close shots and everything. That's where some of it does look cool, is when they're actually
Oh
using
yeah,
models of the
absolutely.
Sentinels, everything. Um,
Absolutely.
but one of the CGI things I actually liked was whenever they came in like this huge wave, and it looked like a hand, like they were kind of
Yeah.
working in unison as like a hand that was like just going around the dock and everything. It was like we didn't see that before. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, the CG
Um,
on the Sentinels actually looked pretty good. I don't think there was any spots where it kind of threw me off. I think it's also it was kind of dark and gloomy inside Zion, so kind of the lighting
it
made it look
helps.
better. Yeah.
Yeah. They stop them for now, but at this point they have to go, they have to fall back and they seal the shaft because they know that even more are coming in. And the council even asks like what their chances are, and he's like, you shouldn't really ask me that question right now. Like, that's not a good question to ask right now. Like, Locke is fully prepared just for all of everybody to die as of right now. And of course Morpheus, you know how he's been the past couple movies. He's like, we have one option left. Our boy's
Yeah.
got to come through for us. And of
He's
course,
like Morpheus believing in miracles.
yeah, Locke just doesn't believe, and even some of the councils are like, we got to hear him out."
Yeah.
And then like Locke, even at the very end, like that dude's like still like barely believes in it. And he's like, "Dude,
Yeah.
come on."
I
Like, they
just
stopped
don't.
the machines. Like you said, Morpheus and Niobe get reprimanded for what they came in and saved the day for the time being, and they still get in trouble. Like, what else were they supposed to do? Just come in and just let everybody just die?
It's like, "Hey everybody, we're just going to hang back. It's fine."
Yeah, at least they bought him some time. But as soon as they bring up like, "Oh, we have one more option left. Hopefully they come through." That's when you transfer over to Neo and Trinity. They're flying throughout, like they're going to the Machine City and everything. I guess they're the way they kind of designed everything. They made it look kind of like a coral reef and like the ocean, or like the way that the
Yeah,
buildings and the
it
machines
was
are and
interesting.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they fly through like this huge open area, and you have like these huge ass like turrets that are shooting sentinels, like
Yeah.
streams of sentinels at them. I was like, what? I didn't remember that at all from my other rewatches, but it was pretty cool, I guess. I mean, it's cool to see something different as far as
Yeah.
what we've seen before. I mean, we've seen the basic sentinel models from the past couple of movies, but to see like huge turrets that can fire sentinels themselves, that's kind of cool. And
Yeah.
I would like to see even like more different kinds of sentinels if they would have been able to create like different versions of them, or like different looks to them or everything, because they all look pretty much the same
Yeah.
throughout the whole series. She's just going head on into all these sentinels, and Neo's using his real life fucking force powers to hold him off, and it doesn't last very long. So ship starts blowing up and everything. So he gets the bright idea, just go over top of them. They won't hit you if you go over top. And he's like, why didn't you do that before? Why were you even using your powers? You should have just went over top in the first place. And that's where you get to see like some semblance of a real world, because they go right up through the like electric,
Storm.
lightning clouds and storm
Yep.
that's just constantly happening, and they actually see like a sun and bright light and everything. It's the first light you've actually seen in the real world within these movies ever, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool. And I mean, it's certainly interesting. And then it goes right away because they go right back through the clouds, and they just crash land into this fucking building. And here is another huge problem I have with this movie is they kill Trinity. And it's like Trinity just died in the last movie and Neo resurrected her. That's my one of my huge gripes about the Matrix trilogy. In every single movie, somebody dies and they get brought back to life, except for this one. Neo can't bring her back in this one, but like brought people back to life in the last two. So I really don't care that someone's dead in this one, because it's like, finally, these are the
No.
consequences of your actions. Nothing's here to save you this time. I was just like, why would you go through? Because you wrote these movies back to back. Why would you kill Trinity Trinity at the end of Reloaded just to kill her at the end of Revolutions again. Like,
To be honest, it could have been it to me. It's like, oh shit, we put the end of Revolutions to the end of Reloaded, and we actually filmed it.
oh
Ooh.
God, what are we gonna
Oh
do?
no, maybe they won't notice. Ah, damn.
He's like, Neo was able to pull a bullet out of her before. How can we really make her dead? Let's just put her with 5 huge things of rebar through her torso, and that'll do
and
it.
and also Neo can't cry because his eyes are melted to his face. Where do the tears go, man?
Keanu's like, how am I supposed to act through these? I don't have eye. He's like, just do your
He's like, I'm
best.
crying. This is just pulling up behind the scar tissue. Like, what? Where do the tears go? Oh no!
And man, this death goes on for far too long
Oh
too.
my god! It is
Like,
so prolonged.
it's just going like everything you went through in the last movie, you're going through again in this one, and it just goes on for far too long. And then of
You
course she's
can't
like,
die.
you can't die, Trinity. And she's like, just give me one last kiss. And then she
She's like,
dies.
I can.
And he's oh,
And
he just like
go,
breaks down.
yes, you can. Please end this.
Please, just move on. Just end it. This is where Neo goes up and he meets the machines. And I guess the name for this is Deus Ex Machina. And for those who haven't seen our Ex Machina review, go out and check that out. It's a good time to promote
Fantastic
that
movie.
one. Yeah, great movie.
If,
And the machines
sorry.
take a face of a baby.
Yeah,
Which is
and it was
weird.
voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson, who was he's done many voice acting work in like
Oh,
animated
that's cool.
shows. I think he did some work in like Ninja Turtles, Batman the animated series, stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I didn't know that. So this is where another part of it gets kind of messy because I mean the machines as he's walking up to this thing, you see like all the like different kinds of machines. Like there's like these little spiders and stuff crawling around and
Yeah.
everything, and then of course the big machine just kind of comes up and it forms like this face of like this baby, which is really weird. And it's talking to him and he's like, "Before you kill me, just hear me out." And it's just like, why would he have any reason to hear you out? Like this machine's been trying to like end everybody for the whole
A long
trilogy now.
time.
Why it should just kill you on sight. But he's like, just hear me out. Just hear me out before you kill me. And he's like, well, we got, you have a threat on your hands. Agent Smith's trying to like, he's going to take over the Matrix. And he's taking over the Matrix because you saw earlier in the movie, like the operators like look at the monitors and they're like all glitchy and being really weird. And they're
Yep.
like, we have no clue what's going on right now. And it's like, this would have been a good time for you to go into the Matrix and see what's actually happening. Like, how is it getting messed up? What's it look like within the Matrix? Like, obviously, Agent Smith's taking over everybody, but what's it look like? What all is he doing in here? Like, you should have been showing all of this. Like,
Yes.
how is he
If
transforming the Matrix into his own creation type thing?
if he's the big bad, you like give me more of him. We don't get
Yeah.
enough. He's
Yeah.
just sprinkled throughout in very short, spots. Yeah, it's just
Yeah, he's like the
disappointing.
big bad of the movie, and you barely see him. Like, I would much rather see him than the Sentinels who don't say anything, really. They're just
Yeah.
flying around carving people up. I would much rather see Agent Smith choose some scenery for a majority of the
absolutely.
movie and then have some fight scenes, split throughout, like we have been seeing through all these other past 2 movies, and you just go away from that whole formula here. And
Yep.
so his whole point is, well, you have Agent Smith taking over the Matrix, and is eventually going to go into the real world, and he's going to end up taking over all of you anyway. There's only one person that can defeat him. I can defeat him, but you got to bring peace. You got to end this war between us, like you guys and the machines and the humans. You got to let the people that are in the Matrix that want out. And it's like, why, like, he doesn't have any leverage, I feel, as far as like the machines go. Like the machines have no reason to believe this dude or want to believe this dude. Like I feel
Yeah.
like they would just
Yeah.
kill him anyway.
Yeah, and he
And let
pretty
it
much
happen.
is like, Agent Smith's going to take over, and they're just like, okay, we'll help you. You're
All
like,
right,
wait, what? That's
We'll help
it?
you out. And they even pause their war while it's happening
Yeah.
too. Cause like you go back to Zion and you saw the drills restarted and they were starting to come down through
Yep.
where they sealed themselves in down in the tunnels. And they're like, oh, well, this is the last stand and everything. You see the Sentinels come through, and then all of a sudden they just kind of stop and they're just sitting there hovering and everything. And then they're like, oh,
They lay
must be
down, take a
Neo.
nap. Yeah.
Yeah, they just take a nap. And Morpheus even goes out and like checks him out and everything. And it's like, well, he must have done something for the time being. So this is where you get the final battle, the final fight of the movie. And It really, I love the build up because it builds it up to be huge. They have like the whole like the
Yeah.
music and everything,
It's
like the
so good.
stuff you didn't really get in any of the other stuff, which is like I like that kind of new stuff they're bringing. It's not Rage Against the Machine or techno in this part of the movie because you got the techno fighting scenes earlier in the
Yep.
movie. You're getting a huge epic final battle, and I love the build up. It's pouring down rain. Where I didn't even notice this, I actually was kind of doing some research. A lot of the rain that's in this movie is Matrix code. Like I
Oh,
didn't notice it on my rewatch, but I like once I read that and went back, you can kind of notice it. Like a lot of the rain, they use CG to put like Matrix code in there to
that's
kind of
cool.
show how it's just breaking down. Like it's not just rain. Like you can see the code and everything. That's how much
Okay.
the Matrix is just kind of getting torn apart by Agent Smith. And I thought it was a pretty cool thing because I didn't even know that. And I mean, all
Oh,
these times
absolutely.
I've
That's
seen the
really
movie,
cool.
I have never noticed that. So I mean, now it's just like every time I watch it, if I watch this again for a while, might not be for a while. It's always something I'm gonna probably notice from now on out. But it's pretty cool how they did that, and it's also the fight takes place, which is there's another thing I didn't know, at the same spot that the original Matrix ended, where he was in the phone booth and he's like warning the machines and
Oh,
everything.
yeah.
It takes
Yep.
place at that exact same spot and everything. But yeah, I mean, you get the huge final battle. It's epic as shit. I mean, it does get muddied up because it is a ton of CGI, man. And it sucks because the most interesting stuff about the fight is the practical fight stuff, the
Yeah.
choreographed fight scenes that they're doing, especially like whenever he gets thrown into that building where it looks like kind of like the reminiscent of like Kill Bill, where it's like the
Yep.
shadows on the walls and stuff.
Yep.
Like it's super cool how it was done. It's like I wanted more of that, but then you have like you go into Marvel and Superman territory where they're
Ah,
flying and
I
zipping in
hated it.
out of the
Hated
sky
it.
and throwing each other through buildings and stuff. It's like, where did all this come from?
I just want 'em I want just grounded fights. Like, when they first start
Exactly.
fighting and they do, like, they punch each other at the same time and Agent Smith hits the ground and, like, brings up the pavement.
It looks like a Dragon
Like,
Ball Z episode.
it's so cool. Like, I would love to see them if they were, like, running up walls and doing cool flips and stuff and beating each other up, but the fact was they just start
Yeah,
flying around like the end of Man of Steel. Like, what? It just turns into a completely different movie to me. Like,
it
it just
really
doesn't
does.
feel the same. And then, like, the fight's just a CG blob fest of nothing.
It's so
It doesn't
bad
get
at certain
interesting until the
points.
end of the fight when it's less punching and more just yelling.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, the best part about the fights, at least through those first two movies, were like you're saying, they were somewhat grounded. Yeah, there was some unbelievable stuff to it, but it wasn't like they were flying. Yeah, they were able to run up walls and do backflips and like slow mo and like suspend themselves in air,
Yeah.
but they're not flying and zipping around at high speeds in the sky or anything.
No.
It's somewhat grounded. It's somewhat, I wouldn't say believable, but it's super cool. And it's stuff you could do practically. You could put them on wires and stuff. Whereas like you wouldn't need all the CGI if you kind of stuck to that sort of thing. And it's like I understand you wanted to go all out and have this huge final battle, but like one, it's not nearly impressive with all the CGI and stuff because it's so dated, like you mentioned, and it doesn't nearly last as long either. It doesn't go on that long before they go up into the sky and they're fighting, and then just Agent Smith just pile drives them straight into the ground. And it creates that huge crater and everything. And it's like there wasn't too much back and forth until that happened and everything.
Right.
Like it wasn't that as epic as you would think it would be for a final battle and everything. Whereas like in the Path of Neo video game, they take it one step further. I don't know if you ever seen the end of that one.
It's been a long
All
time.
all the agents come together and make one huge giant
Oh,
Agent
that's
Smith.
right. Yeah.
And Neo has to fight it.
Jeez.
Which is like, if the way you were going with this movie, you probably could have did it, and it would have been a little bit more entertaining than just like what happens. Because like Neo gets up, he's like, you know what? I suddenly see what I must have to do now, and like, of course, Agent Smith is like, wait a minute. He's like, this is it. This is the part where I kill you. I've seen this before. You're laying right there. I say
Mhm.
such and such, and he's like, wait a minute. Something's not right here. And then he's like, he knows he's being fooled. He knows something is up.
Well,
But then like,
because he calls him Neo.
Everything that has a beginning has an end, Neo. What? What did I just say?
Oh
That's
yeah,
where I
instead of
think he
Mr.
ca
Anderson.
that's where I think he realizes that something's just not right because, yeah, you never hear Agent Smith call him Neo, he's always Mr. Anderson. So when he
Mhm.
calls him Neo, that's when he's like, "Wait, no, that's not right. Something's wrong."
Yeah, and of course you have some of that dialogue that's kind of goes throughout all these movies where he's like, "Do you even know what you're fighting for? Like, how could you persist against the inevitable?" Like
Yeah.
that's his whole thing. And then of course Neo's like, "Because I choose to. It's
Yeah,
my
it's like,
decision."
why do you get up? Why do you continue to fight? Because I choose to."
Yeah,
Like,
and that's the whole
"Oh."
message throughout the whole movies is
Yeah.
like it's his own choice. Like it's not just fate. It's not predetermined stuff. Like it's all up to Neo's choices and what he chooses to do. And I mean, they make a point to just shove that in your face at every chance you get, like
Yep.
every Oracle scene. And of course, here they remember it's Neo's choice.
Yep.
And then of course, like he's just like, all right, I'm gonna end it now. And then he absorbs Neo. And because he absorbs Neo, because Neo is one with the machines, that's where the machines can kind of use Neo to destroy the virus. And man, we've talked about through the Matrix Reloaded and the Matrix how there's a ton of like religious and symbolism and everything, but man, they lay it on thick here because when they show the Matrix vision, they have the huge cross in the middle
Yep.
of his chest and
Yep.
everything. Oh my gosh. And he sacrifices himself. Neo pretty much gives himself up for the greater good to save everybody because by giving himself up, it destroys Agent Smith, destroys the virus, and you even see the Matrix go back to normal. Like that, all that
Yep.
the whole street that was crumbled starts filling itself in. You see, the body that's laying there, it turns into the Oracle. She's laying there now, and then like Sati, and like you even see the little black cat from the first movie on the
Right.
sidewalk
So
and
so I'm
everything.
guessing the Oracle was there because she was absorbed by Agent Smith, and because he's
Yeah,
gone, she's back. So everybody who was absorbed by him are now back to
is back
their
to
normal
normal. Yeah,
selves. Right.
yeah, and I mean, I understand there was a deal. But why would the machines have any reason to keep the deal? They could have been like, "Oh, thanks for clearing that virus from us here, buddy." And they're just like,
All
"We're
right.
just gonna kill
War's back
everybody
on.
anyway. We're just gonna
Yeah.
kill everybody anyway." Like, I mean, I guess the machine, because I mean, you had a how many year-long war? They talked about how like there's been 5 other or 6 other the ones before Neo happened. Like this has been a constant process of just them building up Zion, and then they rebuild the Matrix, and then the one comes along to save it, and then everything gets crumbled and crashed away, and then they rebuild again. And it's just a whole another process. So it's like if the machines have been doing this for so long, why would they just stop now because you made some sort of deal with them? And it's like I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, they hold good to their bargain, though. I mean,
Yeah.
you gotta give the machines credit, I guess. The war in Zion's over, as everybody tells you. It's like Evil Dies Tonight and Halloween Kills. Everybody has to say it because they're running around Zion. The war is over. The war is over. It's over. And the kid has to go to like 10 other people, and then he goes to the huge room, and then everybody in that room's got to say it and everything. It's like we get it, man. The war is over, and the machines take away Neo's body to do what, you may ask? I don't know if they made a sequel, possibly, maybe they would tell you, but I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad WB didn't give in and make a sequel like 20 years later.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one of the last scenes you have after the machines take Neo's body is you see it's in the Matrix, bright sunny skies, you see the Oracle sitting on a park bench, and if you're very eagle-eyed, I didn't even notice it until I did some research. There's a plaque on the bench where the Oracle's sitting and says like in memory of Thomas Anderson or whatever his fucking name is. So it's like he gave his life for the Matrix, so they dedicate a park bench to him in his name. It was like, thanks.
Thanks for saving the world.
Here's a park bench in your name. Thomas Anderson, I forget his name. But that's where you see the architect. He shows his face since the first
Yep.
time, since Matrix Reloaded and everything, and he's kind of a bastard because he even says like, "How long do you think this piece would last?" And she's like, "I'll, hey man, we'll take whatever they give us, like however long it will last." And then she even says like, "I want your word that you're gonna let everybody free," because that was part of the deal. Is similar to Neo in the original movie. You have all those people in those pods. So it's like anybody that wants free, they should be able to be awakened and live in the actual real world instead of in the Matrix. So he gives his word, but she even says like, "I want your word," and he's like, "Who? What do you think I am? Human?" I like that kind of. That was one of the lines I actually liked. That
Yeah.
wasn't super cheesy. But he says that he was going to free them. But I was like, once again, is like, how do you have any like what's his reasoning for keeping his word here? He could easily
Right.
just keep everybody trapped in the Matrix. Sati comes along and then she asks, "Do you think we'll see Neo again?" And she's like, perhaps someday. I suspect someday we'll see Neo again here. She also asked the Oracle if she saw all of this in her visions, in her prophecy, and everything. She's like, "No, but I believed." And that's the note we end on: is that if you believe, you can do. If you believe in something, it'll happen. And
Great message.
it is so messy. And I mean, you actually kind of get to see what the girl does because you see like the how weird the sky is. It's like all like
Yeah.
blue and purple and orange. And she's like, "Did you do that?" And she's like, "Yeah, I dedicated to Neo or whatever." And I was like, "How? Where did this
Okay.
come from?" I mean, they call her like the last exile earlier in the movie. I think Sarah or the Agent Smith calls her the last exile, but it's like they never explain what that means or what
No,
she does or anything.
there's a
It's
lot
just
of things
more
they just don't
information,
explain. Yeah.
just more information just shoved into your face. And it's like, I don't know, man. I mean, of course, it ends on a good note. You have a final battle, everything's resolved. Zion is saved. Neo gave his life for everybody. Neo's Jesus.
Yep.
And there's no sequels to be had after this one. So I mean, this is all his wrote. There's a happy ending, and it is a mess. This is by far the messiest one of the whole series.
Yeah.
Matrix Reloaded does have its problems. I mean, it is. I feel like the Matrix Reloaded is messy because of how bloated it is, and
Yeah.
this one is messy because there's not a lot to it. But because there's not a lot to it, the stuff they do show is just too much. Like the war on Zion, it goes on for far too long. You don't have anything for Morpheus to do the whole time other than just sit on the ship with Niobe. You have Neo and Trinity on a ship for a majority of the movie, or Neo's in the coma. Whereas, like, I feel like you should have split a lot of the stuff in Reloaded into this movie, so Reloaded didn't feel so bloated and just jam packed with a ton of shit. It's like, I
Absolutely.
don't know. They really should have did a couple more rewrites on these two movies before they ended up going in
Or
and
gave it
filming
some
everything.
more time.
Yeah,
Like,
give
why
it
did
some
these
more
need to be
time.
filmed back to back? Like, were they looking at what Lord of the Rings was doing, and they were like, "Ah, we can do that too." And
Yeah, but that's the thing is like Lord of the Rings, you already have the source material. You have books
right.
that are made. Like, man, you really should have taken your time. I mean, we've seen it here recently with the Halloween trilogy.
Yep.
Like David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy. You see what happens when you rush into a trilogy like that. It doesn't work out very well, man. And I mean, I gotta say, the first one is easily the best. That is the one I will always go back to and rewatch. It is an absolute like classic, action classic at this point, sci-fi classic. I feel like at this point, Reloaded, I still got some love for because I do like a lot of stuff that's in Matrix Reloaded, and it does carry a lot of the stuff that made the original great into it,
Yeah.
but it does have a lot of the messy shit that's in Revolutions mixed in with it as well,
Yeah.
which definitely muddles it up a little bit. But man, Revolutions, it's just its own separate thing from the other two. It's just
Yeah.
it's a complete mess
Completely
all
different
around,
movie.
I feel. What was your overall opinion on not just Matrix Revolution, but the Matrix trilogy as a whole, since this is your really first time getting to watch everything?
So you mentioned, the David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy. This trilogy feels exactly like it. You have
Hmm.
a very, very strong beginning. You have a middle that, even though it was my first time seeing Reloaded, I think it's definitely one I could rewatch and appreciate
It's
it a little bit
fun in a
more, like
way.
I have with Halloween Kills. And then you have the third one, which is just like I feel like there was a room full of people who threw a bucket full of ideas, and they just like, okay, I guess we're going to incorporate all of these, and you're like, no,
So in this
there's better ways
situation,
of doing this.
The Zion storyline is Corey Cunningham in a way.
But I mean, I don't want to get too deep into that, but I mean, there was definitely better
I know
ways
what
you
you
can
mean.
incorporated that character, but there was definitely better ways you could have incorporated Zion into the story instead of it being a focal point, which it didn't need to be. Like we just want to
Yeah.
see Neo fighting the machines or stopping Agent Smith. I want to see more stuff in the Matrix. it's called The Matrix. Like,
It is, and you barely have the
w
Matrix in it.
yeah.
But at least this compared to Halloween Ends, you actually have a legit, like, final battle we were promised
Yeah,
the
even if
whole
it
time
wasn't
between
as
Neo and and
epic as we were
Agent
hoping
Smith.
it to be, but,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's a
do I the it kinda mirrors, though, you're right.
yeah,
The first one is really good as far as, like, that Halloween trilogy and the original Matrix. The second one is, like, the story's not great, but it's a
yeah,
fun time to watch and see, like, all the crazy stuff
yeah,
that's happening as far as, like, the action set pieces and everything. But, yeah, the third one is just a mess overall, like,
eh
everything.
I
It's
mean,
just like
another trilogy you could
it's weird.
also talk about in the same vein is the is the sequel trilogy for Star Wars. Like, if
Oh,
for
yeah, you're
at
right.
least for me, like, I'm really high, like, I think Force Awakens is a really fun movie, even if it is a carbon copy of A New Hope. And
Yeah.
then The Last Jedi is one of those movies where I didn't like it at first, and then rewatching it, it's definitely has its perks. And
Mhm.
there is messy stuff in there that could just be eliminated, and then just poor decisions. And then you have Rise of Skywalker, which yeah, it's this movie. It's just a bunch of hodgepodge, like people's ideas just thrown into a bucket, just
Yeah.
mixed up real quick, and then they're like, "This is what we're doing." Is like, can we talk about it a little bit? No, film it. And you're like, what?
Yeah, it's like they come up with, like, their deadlines and their release schedule before they even write the movie, and it's like, "All
Yeah,
right, we're gotta write this whole trilogy or these 2
that's
movies by this time, and we got it,
that's
and
what
that's it. We're not going over." And it's like, why
that's what
wouldn't you
drives
give
me
yourself a
bonkers
break in
about it,
between
man.
these movies? That way you can kinda flesh them out, or flesh out a whole story and then kind of work your way through it from there. If you
Yeah,
make the second one and then kinda go from there, like, "Okay, this was our basic plan, but, like, maybe we can tweak some of these things over the
right.
couple years or whatever." It's like they just went with whatever they had. They didn't
Yeah,
care.
it's like when a movie's about to come out in theaters, and then you get a notification like, "This movie is greenlit for a sequel." I'm like, "But I don't even know what the first one is." Like, I don't even know how good that's gonna be. It's the
Yeah,
same
and I
thing
mean,
with the Exorcist trilogy. Why is this a trilogy? Why are we already planning a trilogy when we don't even know what the first one was at the time that they announced it was gonna be a trilogy?
I
And now
hate to
look where it's at.
say it, but not every director should be the writer of the movie, and that and that could possibly be where it comes from. Because exactly with the David Gordon Green trilogy, and I'm like, there was a bunch of different writers on the Star Wars one, so that's also because of that. You had different
Yeah,
writers on every movie, but like with the Matrix trilogy, you have the Wachowski sisters, and it's like they were the main writers on all of them. Which is like
yeah,
maybe you should have actually brought a writing team in to help you with these stories and help you kind of pace these out in a
like,
good
flesh
way
them
through
out.
flesh
Yeah.
them out. Yeah, exactly how they should be. Flesh out these characters. Remember those 3 characters you developed through these first 2? Maybe you shouldn't ignore them for a majority of the
Yeah.
third one and everything.
Like, what was I wanna know what that meeting was like, where they came up with the decision to just have them be non-existent for the majority of the movie and focus on something that just no one cares about. No one cares about the war on Zion. No one.
Nobody. And I didn't whenever it came out too. Like I remember I love the Matrix whenever it was coming out, but I remember as a kid just like I do not care about this Zion plot
No.
whatsoever. Like I'm here for the Matrix. I'm here for the cool like gun fu running around, jumping off
Yep.
walls and all the stylistic fighting and everything. And it's like we get none of that. We just get CGI just robots shooting people all over the place, stuff blowing up, and then just a bunch of just religious symbolism here and there and there.
Yep.
It's like, oh my gosh, it's like they kind of disappeared so far up their own ass they didn't know where the story was.
100%.
And that's exactly it seems like where we're going with, like you mentioned, the Exorcist trilogy. If it even happens at this point, the way that the first one, whereas like Halloween 18, at least 2018, at least that one had good reception when it came out. Whereas like this
Yeah.
one flopped immediately, and they're like, "Oh God, maybe we shouldn't do these other 2 movies." But we paid $400 million for the rights, so what are we gonna do? We're kind of screwed here.
We made a mistake.
But yeah, I mean, I've been saying it the whole review, but like, of course they made the other one. I wasn't planning on doing that one at all, just because that one was just unneeded whatsoever. The Matrix Resurrections. I wasn't gonna name drop it, but here I am name dropping it. I wasn't gonna do that review. I'm still not planning to do that review. Maybe forever down the line, if you're interested, maybe we can do it eventually. But as of right now, I have no plans to even talk or watch that movie anytime soon. It wasn't terrible. I'll give you a short tiny bit. It wasn't terrible, but it was just completely unnecessary and unneeded whatsoever. And
That's literally
they
every
neutered
review I've
Neo.
heard. Yeah, it's just like every review I've heard of that movie is just like, yeah, it was not the worst thing, but why does it exist?
Yeah, because
It's
the
just,
basic it's only there to kind of to have a commentary on why they're there in the first place. Like, they
yeah.
even talk about they go very in depth about, like, digging, like, franchises up from the grave and resurrecting them. Like, it gets super meta within the Matrix, Resurrections. It goes way meta with it. Like, the Matrix trilogy is actual video games in the newer one. Like,
What?
bro, it's dumb. It is dumb.
I'm just curious now. I gotta watch it at some point.
Hey, I give it a watch. I mean, since you watched these, you might as well watch it. I just wasn't planning on doing a review of it. Like, this is the trilogy. This is the Matrix trilogy. It got bad enough with Revolutions, man. We don't need to dive any deeper. Do you have any other final thoughts on Matrix Revolutions or the Matrix trilogy as a whole here, Brett?
It starts off so strong, it just ends so on such a downer. It's forgettable. Like, this franchise shouldn't be a franchise. I think it would have been just fine just leaving it at one movie, or just focusing on those core three characters that you created that were so strong, and have him fight
Hmm.
this Agent Smith throughout the entirety of this franchise. Like, have him be the focal point and see him more, and have there be
Yeah,
more of a conflict instead of adding just unnecessary stuff. And unfortunately, we see it in so many franchises where they just kind of venture off into their own thing, and you're like, where are you going? come
yeah.
back come
And that's
back
the
to
most
where people
frustrating
care.
thing about it, is seeing the potential of what it could have been, and then
Yeah.
the direction that they went in. And it was like, what are you doing? This should have been so easy for you.
Yeah. I'm glad I got to watch these movies. I'm glad I'm finally able to say I've seen this trilogy.
Mhm.
But it's definitely a trilogy I don't see myself going back to ever. Like, to be honest, it's like, I might, like, if the Matrix were to pop up on my show, that would probably be the next time I'd ever watch it. But it's just, to be honest, for me, it's a cinematic marvel for its time, and I think it holds up
Mhm.
really well today. But the rest of it is just forgettable, and so to me, the franchise as a whole is just not something that's top
Yeah.
tier for me, or something that I just want to go back to. It's
Yeah,
just not.
and since you bring that up, it kind of begs the question, is like, would the original Matrix be even more well known and talked about more now if it wasn't for those sequels? Like, if Matrix Revolutions and Reloaded didn't receive the receptions they receive, would we be talking about the Matrix, like, as a big old game changer, like it actually was? Like, it was a huge game
Yeah.
changer for movies at the time, but I feel like people aren't talking about it nearly as enough as it should be now, because of these two sequels that kind of ruined its reputation in a way.
Yeah. It sucks. It sucks when things are like that. And I'm glad it didn't go to complete obscurity. I'm glad people still talk about the
Yeah.
Matrix and put it at such high regard. I mean, there's a lot of franchises out there that have such a strong beginning, and then have subsequent sequels that just kind of damper the franchise, but you can still look
Yeah.
back. I mean, listen, my favorite movie of all time is Jaws, and they made
Yeah,
a
true.
decent sequel, and then they made two sequels that go, what? This is part of the same franchise? But it doesn't put the original any lower for me, because it's one
Yeah.
of those things where I can easily just ignore the fact that there are sequels to Jaws.
True, true, and that's the same thing you could do with similar to what we were saying with Halloween 2018. That's a very self-contained
Oh,
movie if you just
absolutely.
watch that one, and the same
Yeah.
thing with The Matrix. That's a very just self-contained. You don't need to watch Reloaded or Revolutions, you know, after them. Like, it's very self-contained. It ends right where it needs to. He defeated Agent Smith at the end of the first one and everything. Like, you don't really need any more after that.
Nope.
But yeah, I mean, I myself, I enjoy the Matrix trilogy I feel like I enjoy the idea of the Matrix trilogy more than the
The final
actual,
product.
like, the final product. Like, of course, I love the first movie. The second one, I do have a decent amount of love for it, even though it is kind of muddled up a little bit because of everything that was going on. Matrix Revolutions, I could just do without. That's one this is probably the first time I watched it in who knows how long. Because I normally watch, like, the first one. If I'm feeling antsy, then I'll watch the second one, but I normally only watch the second one just for most of the cool action set pieces and everything that are in it. But yeah, I mean, this movie definitely should not be remade in any capacity going
No,
forward throughout
no,
time. I don't want to see any more Matrix movies at all.
no.
This is enough. We do have a giveaway planned. I am going to be giving away the Matrix trilogy on Blu-ray box set. So
Woohoo!
I will have the details of that on social media. So go check out our Instagram and our Twitters, because what you have to do is pretty much just have to go and like, follow, and share that post, and you'll have to follow Cinema Trip Reviews and also Dissect That Film if you want a shot at this grand prize Blu-ray
Woo!
Matrix trilogy box set.
Hell
So
yeah!
all you out there can, just dive in and enter the Matrix whenever you want to.
If
If
you
you
want
want to.
to,
If you want, yeah,
or you
heavy
just
emphasis
want it to
on
look
if you
nice
want
on your
to.
shelf.
Exactly. It is cool. It's got the holographic cover and everything with
Yeah,
the Matrix code. It's super
absolutely.
cool. But yeah, that is our Matrix trilogy review. Where can everybody find you here, Parker?
You can find Dissect That Film on all the social medias, on Twitter/X or whatever you want to call it, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We're on all the podcast services. Just type in Dissect That Film. And we're on YouTube at youtube.com/at Dissect That Film,
Yeah, I
where
will
we
have
have the
all of
video
your
forms.
links down here in the description for anybody who wants to go check out Dissect That Film stuff. Great content, man. I always check out your episodes and everything.
Thank you.
You said your Halloween ranking coming out here, or it should be out
Yeah.
by the time this comes out. So I'm
Yeah, we got
highly interested in it. I can't wait to watch that.
got a lot of stuff coming out over the last week of October, early November. With we just released Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, and
Great
then
movie.
we have our 2-part Halloween rankings and a live stream where we're going to be talking about Five Nights at Freddy's. So got a lot of
Oh.
stuff going on.
Big thanks to you, man, for joining me, not just for this episode, but just watching all the Matrix movies and
Hey,
coming on
thank
and talking
you.
about them with
Yes,
me, man.
thank you for reaching out to me and asking me to be part of a franchise that I just never on my radar. Never was something I was interested, because I love being able to experience these things for the first time, even if it's not the most pleasant experience. But it's definitely fun to talk about, and hang out with you. Of course, is always a blast. So thank you for having me on. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for being on. And I promise, I know I say this every time you're on here, but now that the Matrix trilogy is finally over, we need to get the whole crew on and we could talk about whatever movie you guys want to talk about. We don't have to talk about the Matrix the next time you come on. I promise. I promise.
Yes. You got a deal there. You got a deal.
So yeah, I will have all of your links down here in the description and everything. So everybody go check out Dissect That Film wherever available. It's available pretty much everywhere, as you said. And as always, make sure to like, share, and subscribe here at Cinema Trip Reviews. Go check us out on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Cinema Trip Reviews. And also wherever you get your podcast, drop in and leave us a good review there as well. And we also got our store here down on YouTube. We're finally able to put our shop up on YouTube now that we have 500 subs. Thank you everybody for supporting the
Woo!
channel. I really appreciate it. Just on the way to 1K now. Just kind of continue growing. We're growing together as a
Hell
fam.
yeah. Hell yeah. You're doing great.
Yeah, so I mean, that is the show, everybody. I am Wyatt. That is Brett Parker from Dissect That Film, and we'll see everybody next time.